Pope Francis announced the names of 21 new cardinals on Sunday, with a consistory to be held in August. 16 of those men will be eligible to vote in the next conclave. How was the news of these new princes of the Church received in Rome? The National Catholic Register's Vatican correspondent, Ed Pentin, joins us from Rome. Ed, thanks for being here. I want to start with this upcoming consistory. As is his custom, the Pope chose men from the peripheries, with France, Brazil, India, Mongolia, Paraguay, Nigeria, Timor, and Italy represented. Only one new cardinal from the U.S., however, San Diego Bishop Robert McElroy. How were these choices received in Rome?
Well, I think there's a sense here in Rome, Raymond, that this is very much a sort of completing the circle for a lot of these candidates, a lot of these new cardinals. It's as somebody said, it's rather a lot of giving out lollies to those who are sort of favorite friends and those who've done a good service to the Holy Father. And that seems to be what this is. I think a lot of these, certainly in the Curia, the new cardinals in the Curia are those who have done what the Pope wanted. They've been very loyal to him, and I think this is, as I say, sort of returning that favor. But there are two rather strange aspects to this. One is that some of these choices seem to have been done on the fly very recently. The choice for Mongolia is an Italian bishop who the Pope only met 2 days before. And as I understand it, according to my sources, then decided to make him a cardinal. So that was not expected. But also the other thing is why the date of the consistory is so far from the announcement made, and that's something that hasn't been done before, not in recent history in any case. And there's lots of speculation why that's the case. He's got this meeting with all the cardinals to discuss the new curial reforms. That might be part of it. But it doesn't really explain why it's so far away from the actual announcement. So that's these are two rather strange aspects to this.
Well, it's a good reminder, Ed, while we all look to your home country and the English monarchy, this too is a monarchy. And there's a court at play, and the Pope is the sovereign, and he can make decisions based on his own mind at the moment. And what do these appointments, do you think, reflect on Francis's mind at this moment? And what of the omissions, particularly in the U.S., Archbishop Gomez of Los Angeles, born in Mexico, in a largely Hispanic archdiocese, the largest archdiocese in the country, passed over again. Archbishop Salvatore Cordileone, of course, in recent news, once again passed over. Your thoughts on what this tells us about Francis's mindset at the moment?
I think it's very much, Raymond, very much according to his line of thinking, of course. He's always chosen mostly cardinals who reflect his thinking, his ideology, his line of thought. And I think that's very much the case here. It's worth remembering that when he met Archbishop Vigano when Archbishop Vigano was the nuncio to the United States, he said, I want moderate bishops. I don't want anyone else. And for him, moderate bishops mean those who tend to be, I think some would say heterodox, or at least they're not considered conservative or particularly or overtly orthodox. And I think that's what you see here, especially with the choice with Bishop McElroy. So I think that's very consistent with the Pope Francis and the way he's thinking at the moment.
Yeah, it is curious when you look back at the last two popes that we've covered, both Pope John Paul II as well as Benedict. They appointed a diversity of bishops. There were men that were more moderate, but at least they sort of held the middle. And then there were those who were more conservative. This crop of cardinals that the Pope seems to be choosing are very much in the same ideological form. Pope Francis has so far created 101 cardinals from 58 nations at 7 consistories, not counting the next one in August. As of 2020, 73 of the college's electors were created by Pope Francis, 39 by Benedict XVI, only 16 remaining from John Paul II. So the college currently reflects the vision of Pope Francis to a larger degree. After the August consistory, 16 more cardinal electors will be added, meaning 89 of these electors will be Francis's choices. What is he trying to achieve here, do you think, Ed?
Well, I think a lot of it's to do with securing his successor. Raymond, of course, the Cardinals have chosen his successor, and they choose his successor. So I think he's wanting to secure very much the reforms that he's made. He doesn't want somebody coming in after him who's going to undo them all. And this is very much trying to secure that and make that sort of concrete. I mean, all popes try to do this to some degree. This pope, I think, has done it quite considerably. I think he's certainly, as some say, stacked the court, if you like, to ensure that happens. And I think that's very much part of it.
Ed, on June 1st, Francis named Chicago Cardinal, Archbishop Blaise Cupich, a member of the very influential Congregation for Divine Worship. That's the Vatican's liturgical office. He also named Cardinal Kevin Farrell and CDF Adjunct Secretary Archbishop Gus Denoya. I should mention that Pope Francis has also named the current prefect of the congregation, Archbishop Arthur Roche of the UK, to become a cardinal as well. So liturgy, all of these men are now in that liturgy office, Roche heading it up. Liturgy seems to be looming large in the mind of the Holy Father. What do these picks say about his vision for the liturgy?
Well, I think it's very much trying to continue what the Vatican Council reforms, as he sees it, as reforming the liturgy according to Vatican II. And I think these choices are very much along those lines. And also to impose or to implement Traditionis Custodes. I think all of those who were chosen to be members of the congregation have come out publicly in support of Traditionis Custodes, which put restrictions on the traditional Mass. And I think all of these are certainly along those lines. Even Archbishop Denoya, who was used to be quite conservative in this regard, he's certainly gone along with Pope Francis, along with Traditionis Custodes, and so he's been chosen. And I think that's the case with a lot of these picks.
Yeah, no, they're all towing a particular vision. Diversity of thought is not treasured here, or apparently diversity of orthodoxy or remembrance of even recent history. I mean, we should say for the record, Ed, the Second Vatican Council did not wish to stamp out and blackball, destroy Latin, the singing of Latin in the liturgy, or even the traditional Latin Mass. Yet that is the sort of new thinking that they're sort of taking the spirit of Vatican II and saying, no, this is what the Second Vatican Council intended. We'll see where this goes, but I don't see how sort of doubling down in the institution helps them with the men and women in the pew who not only populate it, but pay the bills. But we'll see. Ed, before we run out of time, I want to ask your thoughts on the Pope's health. You reported at the end of May that Francis's health issues were ongoing, and he had even made an unpublicized visit to the Gemelli Clinic for an MRI. Do we know anything new about the Pope's health issues? Is there cause for concern?
Well, I mean, there's lots of speculation, Raymond. And what I have heard is that he is very weak at the moment. He's actually been caught, sleeping at the funeral of Cardinal Sodano and the recent general audience. Mm-hmm. So he's quite weak and tired. And I think there's something there which shows that he's really not very well. I think the knee is causing him a lot of pain and concern, and I think he's wanting to he probably needs some surgery for that. But I think he's not as well as perhaps some people say. At least all the Vatican tries to make it out. I think he's suffering quite.
Well, it's the old line, Ed, a pope isn't ill until he's gone. That's always the Vatican line. We will leave it there. The indispensable reporting of the National Catholic Register's Ed Pentin can be found on their website, and his book, The Next Pope, The Leading Cardinal Candidates, is indispensable, really, in many ways, particularly as we move into a conclave. Who knows when? Thank you, Ed.